We're on. All right. Hi, Zach. This is Uncle Fred. You're doing this, I read your questions a little bit, and you're doing this project for class. And it looks to me like what you want to know is a little bit about forest or maybe range fires. Because as a firefighter, I fight not just range fires, but also in town house fires and car fires and all that stuff. And I've only fought one forest fire, and that was because we were called out in this little town that was about to burn down and they needed our help. But keeping that in mind, I'll try to answer your questions. And by the way, this stuff here is what I wear whenever we're out on a range fire or a forest fire. Well, yes, go ahead.
Okay. Alright. Is it difficult fighting forest fire on the ground?
Yeah, as I told you, Zach, I fought one forest fire, and it was by far the most scariest, most difficult thing that we've ever done. And the reason is real simple. The fire is so huge, you don't just go up and squirt water and stop it. You have to get out in front of it miles and miles and hope that you can get some good weather and find a river or something that will help you break it. But yeah, they're really tough, and especially when the tops of the trees just it burns from the top tree to the next one, and it does what they call crowning when they it catches on fire and all of a sudden it just explodes and then spreads the fire even further. Quite scary stuff.
Okay. What tools do you use?
On a range fire, Zach, we still the main fighting vehicle are the brush trucks with water, but we do on occasion use shovels, and in our case, range fires, we don't very often use much more than shovels. Forest fires, they use lots of other things. They did kind of digging tools, but we just use shovels when we need to. But mostly we walk the fire line with a hose and squirt water at the base of the fire to put it out. And then someone comes behind us doing the same thing.
Okay. Have you seen fire blow up rocks?
No, I've heard that it can get hot enough to make a crack and all. I've seen trees blow up. I've seen houses explode, garage doors come blowing off. I've been inside before when windows went exploding out from the heat that builds up, but I've never seen that kind of thing.
Okay. Let's see. Do you use chemicals, water, or both?
Zach, it depends on what kind of fire you have. If it's a car fire, you're going to use at first, if you've got it, you're going to use dry powder chemicals. But mostly you'll use water on almost everything, except when you get into like a place that stores chemicals, a fertilizer plant, for example. There you don't dare use water because sometimes water on certain kinds of chemicals will actually explode and make the fire even worse. So there you have to use foam or dry powder or something different. And in each case, you just have to kind of look at it and make a real fast decision of what you need to have, or somebody gets hurt.
Okay. When does fire season start and when does it end?
Well, okay, if you're Jack, if you're talking about the range fires, which I assume you are, or the forest fires here in Idaho, it's probably July when everything really dries out. July, August, and part of September is the crazy time. And right now, we've got fires all over Idaho. And we've been fighting range fires for the last 3 or 4 weeks, almost every day. There's someone. But as a firefighter, we have fires in the winter. Like one of the busy times is when everybody, when it first gets cold and they start up their fireplaces and it catches chimneys on fire and all that. That's kind of another busy time. The range forest fires in Idaho is usually July, August, September.
Okay. Alright. Were you ever scared?
Yes, Zach. I actually I've been scared 2 times that I can remember. And you know, you're always nervous. I don't care what fire you're on. You'd be stupid if you didn't respect the flame, the heat, and the smoke, because it can kill you. It hurts you. And as far as being afraid, you're so excited usually that you don't even think about it till it's over. And then sometimes you kind of go, oh, gosh, what was that? You know, and you're scared. But actually being scared, I had one fire that was at a church in a basement that had been remodeled several different times, so there's all these little entryways. It was at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was pitch black in there because you have to get all the electricity off so nobody gets hurt. You couldn't see the fire. You could feel the heat and all the smoke, but you couldn't even see the fire. And we had to feel our way back to the fire. It took us about 20 minutes, and we kept getting lost and running up against places where we couldn't tell where we were. And you have the mask and everything on, and you start to get claustrophobic, so you can't, scared of being inside, and you have no way to get out. When we finally got to the fire, and I started squirting water on it, my oxygen bell started ringing, and that warns me that I'm about ready to run out. And just for that moment, I got really, really frightened because I didn't think I could get out in time before I run out. And but I did what you're supposed to do as a trained firefighter. I just turned, let my two buddies know that I was leaving, and I grabbed the hold of the fire hose and followed it out. And just about the time I got out is when I ran out of oxygen, and then it was okay. And I can honestly say I was scared on that one. And that one forest fire I told you about, when the fire came over top, we were protecting some cabins, and the fire literally burned over top of us, over the trees, and the trees were exploding. And there for just a moment or two, it was like scary.
Okay. Let's see. When you're fighting a fire, what do you need to know about the fire?
That's a very good question. We train all the time, Zach, about that very thing, and it depends on what kind of fire you have. But the first thing that the officers do whenever there's a fire, I don't care if it's forest fire, range fire, car fire, they do what we call a size up. And during that size up period, which may only be 2 or 3 minutes, may only be a few seconds, depends, but the officers have to make decisions of how the trucks and the men that are on their way are going to fight the fire. And there's just dozens and dozens of things to consider. The wind, what's on fire, what's it made out of? Is it wood? Could it explode on you? Do you need to get air on to protect yourself? What is the heat? What's color of the smoke? Different colors of smoke will tell you an awful lot about what a fire is made of. And it's just all kinds of stuff like that. And you have to decide really quickly what it is and how to go about fighting it. How many different people to go in the different directions of the fire, or how many trucks to use. It just goes on and on. And you have to do it really fast, and you have to sort of cross your fingers and say a little prayer that you've guessed right when you do it. Otherwise you can get hurt.
All right. Let's see. I don't know what this says. Hold on. Does that say tactics?
Tactics.
Oh, okay. It looks like there's an R in there. All right.
Isaac.
All right. What tactics are most used when it comes to stopping a fire?
Well, as I sort of talked about that already, but mostly it is a matter of getting water to a heated flame, heavy smoke, but heated place as quick as possible. That's the number one tactic. And how you get to that, it all depends. So, that's what a firefighter does, is there's heat, and the best way to put it out is with water.
Okay.
But after that, there's just all kinds of things you do.
Okay.
Is that the last question?
Yep, sure.
Hey,
is.
I hope this helps you in your report, and say hello to your mother and your father and that little squirt that you live with, and everybody else that lives in Minnesota. Bye.
Well, see, now they're living in Virginia now.
Oh, well, let's say hello to those that live in Minnesota and those that live in Virginia.
Okay.
I mean, I knew you did, but Minnesota's people you talk to. Bye.
Bye.